For those who know, I love One Piece. When I say love, I mean I am absolutely enthralled with the world of One Piece. So much so that a friend and I started writing a story based off of that, turning some of said story into a voice acting project. You want me to drop that? Let me know. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the live action One Piece. What an interesting concept. At first, when I heard this was coming out, and with Netflix being the company that had it under its thumb, I got a little scared. I mean, I feel like all of that feeling was warranted. I mean, look at what they did with Death Note. I'm not going to talk about that because I would like to pretend that that didn't exist. So we will just toss that in the trash and talk about One Piece and only One Piece live action. There really isn't a whole lot I didn't like. However, there are some things I didn't. I mean, to start, I didn't like the whole Helmabo butt cheek scene. That was kind of strange. Didn't really want to see that. Just a little unnecessary. So, you know. The main issue I really have is that Zoro doesn't really use his three-sword style. I feel it's a little untrue to his character. I mean, we see him use more of his other two swords than all three. Yes, I know it's unrealistic to use three swords, and yes, I know he usually only uses all three when in hardcore battles, but, and this is a big fat but, the three-sword style is essential to Zoro's character. I mean, come on, it's his whole thing. So I don't really understand why they didn't allow for it to be used more than once. During a nice chunk of the Mihawk fight, Zoro only used two swords. Then eventually, when he used three swords, he got bopped. A good old bonk to the body. I am glad that they used 3,000 worlds, but I wish that Zoro had finally broken and started calling out his moves. It would have meant more in my eyes, at least, to show that he's becoming more acquainted with the idea of being part of the Straw Hats. My only complaint with Sanji, I just wanted one. Just one party table kick course. The only other thing I really didn't like was that there wasn't really a chance to see Don Krieg at Baratie. That whole fight is really fun, especially in the manga and the anime. But you know what? I can live without that. I loved the fight choreography. It feels very smooth. It's also very visually pleasing. I like the way that even after Luffy saves Zoro, Zoro doesn't fully commit to the idea of being a crew alongside Nami, which leads to one of my favorite scenes in the entire show. I believe episode 6, where Zoro finally wakes up and tells Luffy he recognizes his dream, and he will follow him until the end and acknowledges him as captain. It's like one of the most well done scenes I've seen from this show. Also, can somebody please tell me why Buggy kind of looks like Ben Stiller? I mean, they just look extremely similar, so I don't know. I love the change of having Buggy have more of a circus theme. Like, not just the crew, like literally having a circus going on as he terrorizes the villagers. Also, the change of having Kuro's plan be more cold and calculated. This makes the time spent with Kaya and Mary more miserable for him and frustrating, and when he finally snaps, it feels just right. Having only two of his crewmates feels correct, compared to having his entire crew show up just to get stuck fighting on a hill because of Usopp and Zoro and Luffy. I love the way the characters are portrayed. Each actor and actress does an amazing job capturing the characters and their liveliness. Having Mihawk be quite arrogant in choosing what it is he wants to do is really funny. And on top of that, it allows us to see how much Mihawk truly does not care about his duties as a warlord. I like the whole Shanks losing his arm scene. I like the way that it's done. Instead of being in the water when it takes place, which would have meant that Luffy should not be responsive at all, like it is in the anime and manga, they have him do it on a rowboat. And then Shanks loses his arm, and then proceeds to scare away the sea beast. I think that makes a lot more sense than having it be done in the water. Along with that, I like the way that they did the characters' backstories. It is definitely interesting to see a younger version of Zeph and Sanji on the rock, along with a younger version of Zoro. which he still kind of looks like how he did when we first saw him. All in all, I really like One Piece live action. I think it's a great way to get people who aren't into manga and anime into the story of One Piece. I genuinely recommend One Piece to everyone, but if they say the phrase, "it's way too long," I can now just say, well, check out the live action version. It's only 8 episodes. Then I can pray that they will go and watch it. I really don't know how to feel about some of these things. For example, the bar scene with Nami, Luffy, Zoro, and Kobe all meeting up in there. It feels wrong. I like the idea of the little girl giving Zoro the rice balls as he's hung up on the cross to show that he's not a monster and still wants to protect people. But in the live action, he eats the rice balls that have been stomped on off the floor. Instead of out of goodwill, he does it out of spite. And he also does it in the anime and the manga because he's actually hungry. He just does it for fun and out of spite in the live action. Which, I mean, it does make sense for the character of Zoro, but at the same time, I can't really get behind it. I'm a little worried for how they'll do Reverse Mountain and Loguetown, but this is just the first season, and it's proven that they can do a lot more rather than, you know, the trash over there. And yes, to elaborate a little more on the voice acting thing, I really do want to be a voice actor. And I would really appreciate if you guys checked out my TikTok where I do things like that. That's SlyUchiha54 on TikTok. If anyone that watches this is good at like doing art, especially like people art or like anime manga art, I would love to have a conversation where we could talk about maybe doing a little bit of a manga together. It is something that has really interested me, and I believe it would be so fun to do some of the scenes from the story that my friend and I have been writing. If you made it to this point, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and it helps grow the channel. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and finally make sure you comment what you want me to give my opinion on next. Whether it be games, show, or manga, just let me know. I will try to post this kind of content on Thursdays, and my gaming content on Tuesdays.